Good morning. Got a little music playing this morning. So, this is the Charles Van Morgan Show. We're going to talk about Christian pacifism, the thought that Christians shouldn't be involved in any type of conflict, war, or anything like that. And we're going to refute that concept. So, hang on today. Got a real good show. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I'm not Pops. My name is Van, Charles Van Morgan. So, I know you're trying to be funny, but that's disrespectful. Good morning. Charles Van Morgan Show. We're going to talk about Christian pacifism. Christians should fight evil. And so we got a little music going on. So, welcome to the Charles Van Morgan Show. Got a real good show for you today. Got some stuff that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Listen to the copyright-free music in the background, but we're going to talk about it. This is, in case you are mistaken, this is unbridled news. We don't pull punches, and we're going to talk about Christian pacifism and why Christians have a God-given right to defend themselves. And we're going to go through some scripture verses where people say, no, you have to turn the other cheek and let people beat the hell out of you. And I just don't see it that way. So this is Charles Van Morgan Unbridled News, and I'll defend myself, and I'll answer to God for it. If you don't want to defend yourself, I think that you will answer to God for not defending yourself. I got respect for you. Thank you very much. Pretty TINGZ. I appreciate that. So we're going to talk about Christians fighting. Imagine that, Christians fighting. Wow, should we? I think so. I'm not a preacher. I am Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News. So if you want a different perspective from a preacher, then that's fine. I'm not. I'm Unbridled News, Charles Van Morgan, educated in the law, educated in sociology, and I'm just telling you what I think about pacifism. It's not right, I don't believe. I think you're wrong if you don't defend yourself and you don't fight. And we're going to talk about a man that has since passed away, like Alexander the coppersmith said, that he did him much evil, and God would reward him. So we're going to talk about the former colonel of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, Tracy Trott. Now, he just passed away yesterday, and I know it's not a popular thing to do to talk about the deceased, but when they have done you much wrong, you have every right to stand up against them. It's called the truth. And let me check here. I'm going to show you something that's real cool. So thank y'all for joining, and we're going to talk about the former commander of the Highway Patrol and talk about why I defend myself. If you don't like it, then that's just too bad. And maybe I can give you all some encouragement on self-defense and defending yourself, defending your character. Christian doesn't mean you should be a pacifist, in my view. Now, like I said, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a preacher of a church. I don't claim to be. I'm just telling you my interpretation of the scripture and why you should damn well defend yourself. Or I think maybe you're wrong if you don't. And we're going to do a little self-defense today. It's not popular. I think it's pretty cool to stand up and fight while people are saying, oh, God's going to judge you for that. Maybe your God will, that probably don't exist in an imaginary world, that you want a pacifist so you can beat on. But in my real world that I really live in, I fight back. And if you don't like it, take a number. There's a lot of people that don't like me. It's a real huge number, and you'll have to wait in a long line. You probably won't even be able to get to me. So, and there's a hell of a lot of people, and thank you all so very much that love me, appreciate the truth that I'm trying to say that goes against the grain. That's very unpopular in some circles, and circles that people want to beat on us, but they don't like it when we won't take it, when we fight back. Well, if you don't like us fighting back, then don't throw punches at us. Don't try to mistreat us. How about that? You ever thought about that? Because I teach what I do, and that is self-defense. So hang on. We're going to talk to you about self-defense, about Christians fighting back. How about that? We shouldn't be pacifists. So let's look at some of my notes. And we're going to talk about the former, now deceased colonel of the Tennessee Highway Patrol. He did me much evil. He's gone, I'm not. I still have a voice, he doesn't. And we're going to talk about what he did against me wrongfully. How dare I run him down and now he's deceased? Well, how dare he did wrong in the first place? And God has blessed me with life and he doesn't have it anymore. Look how that works out. Wow, amazing. So if you know anybody that knows the former colonel of the Highway Patrol, share this with them. I'm not afraid of the truth. He should be afraid, and now he stands before God for what he did. And I'll tell you exactly what he did. It was wrong. So real interesting message about little self-defense and how it works. It works. I'm still alive. So listen to the show. This is going to be a good one. We're going to talk about Christian pacifism. And if you want to be a pacifist and let people run over you just because you're a Christian, then you might want to listen to this show and take notes on what we gonna do to you when you fight us. Because Christians, I don't think, in my opinion, should not be pacifists. Christian pacifism is the theological conviction that I don't share. And if you do, then you be you. And you get the hell beat out of you. I'm not gonna be. And you ain't going to. And anybody that listens to me that wants to subscribe and follow to my philosophies that are very accurate, have kept me alive for 61 years, then listen to what I'm telling you. It'll keep you safe. It'll keep you intelligent. It'll keep you in the know. It'll keep you alive, and it'll stop people from running over you, which is what I believe. Christian pacifism is the theological conviction that nonviolence and love for enemies are essential to Christian faith, prohibiting participation in war or physical resistance. Rooted in the life and teachings of Jesus, particularly the Sermon on the Mount, pacifists argue that Christians are called to be peacemakers, refuse to bear arms, and in many cases embrace suffering over violence. Now, I do not subscribe to every one of those beliefs. I don't subscribe to the conviction that the Christian faith prohibits participation in war or physical resistance. Christian pacifism is not a belief that I share. I believe Christian pacifism is a belief that the enemy puts on us to make us put down our arms and make them be able to totally defeat us, which, you know, if you want to do that, that's fine. You're not going to see it here. I'm telling you, that's my warning. And I'm not talking about violence. I don't believe in violence. Self-defense is not violence. And rooted in the life and teachings of Jesus, particularly the Sermon on the Mount, we're going to look at that. Pacifists argue that Christians are called to be peacemakers, refuse to bear arms. We're called to be peacemakers, but in order to make peace, if you want to go before that, then you have to be willing to make war, refuse to bear arms, and in many cases embrace suffering over violence. And in some cases, you should embrace suffering, and you should embrace suffering over violence, but not suffering over self-defense. So there's a lot of convoluted ideals in Christian pacifism that I don't subscribe to, and I would encourage every one of my fans to not subscribe to being pacifists and getting run over by people who are telling you that you're like Jesus, turn the other cheek, that's what you're supposed to do, because I don't believe that to be true. 2 Timothy 4:14, Alexander the coppersmith did not do something good to receive a reward. Rather, he brought much evil and great harm to the Apostle Paul and his ministry. Paul states the Lord will repay him according to his deeds, referring to divine judgment for his strong opposition to the gospel. Now, when I was a trooper, I carried a New Testament in my upper pocket, which is a huge reason why people in the Tennessee Highway Patrol punished me, because I was a Christian. They knew that, and they're not. They claim to be, but they don't like a true Christian. So we're going to get into the arguments about Christian pacifism from the Bible, because they literally quote the Bible in their belief that we should be run over. Just let people slap us on the cheek and keep slapping and turn the other cheek and let them just beat the hell out of us, and that's Christian and that's the right thing to do. And I don't believe that. And we're going to talk about that. People say, well, you're going against the Bible. No, I'm not. You're taking the Bible out of context. But first, we're going to get into something that people are going to think is very harsh, and I don't think it is. And you can think whatever you want to think. And God gave me a good, sound, strong mind to present unbridled news, gave me a forum, a platform, and put me through a little bit of fire so I'd have a few burns so I'd know what it meant to really fight and not be just somebody that's ignorant of the devices of wicked people in government power. I know what I'm talking about. I've been through it. I'm still here. They haven't got rid of me. I'm not going anywhere, and I haven't went anywhere. And some of them, at least one of them, is deceased now. Imagine that, standing before God for what they did on the face of this planet. Now, when somebody dies, isn't it amazing? This is unbridled news. This is just the truth, the unbridled truth for the advancement of society for the main populace, because their truth is a lie that's designed to perpetrate their self and their establishment. My truth is designed to help the mass, millions and millions of people all across the state of Tennessee. There's 7 million people in the state of Tennessee. They're praising someone who is now deceased as a hero, as someone with a distinguished career. Colonel Tracy Trott, he did not have a distinguished career. During his career, he took the leading drunk driver off the road that caused hundreds of thousands of people to get killed. Now, that's the truth. Just because he's deceased now doesn't change that. What it does change is he's answering for God for what he did. And me speaking out against him is not a wrong thing. It's not wrong at all. It's called the truth. It's called not being a pacifist and fighting back. So he's deceased now. He's answering to God for what he did. He would have never answered with the judge on the face of this planet in the state of Tennessee that promoted him for the wrong that he done. Imagine that. But there's a true God, there's a just God that's not subject to politics, that's not subject to the evil wickedness on the face of this planet that I'm now fighting, thank you very much, and that I will. I don't care what they say. This world is not my home. I'm just passing through. But while I'm here, I'm going to make sure that I stay around and fight for my rights and the rights of all Tennesseans, in spite of what they say. They can do whatever they want to do. They can live high on the hog. They can run over people. They can be in high positions, cause mass tragedies and mass fatalities on the road in positions where they're supposed to stop that. And I can, as a Christian, not be pacifist and say they shouldn't have had the position that they had. They should have been in jail. And what they did was not an honorable, distinguished career. They can't even rebut me now because they're deceased. Imagine that. But they cannot stop themselves from dying, and they can try to kill me. They already have. They didn't get it done, but he is deceased now. And it is a better world now that he's deceased because of his corruption. Now, that's unpopular to say at somebody's death. We're supposed to praise him. Why? Well, we're supposed to lie because somebody's dead. Well, I'm not dead. And isn't this interesting? I have a voice. Over 2 million people I spoke to in the past about less than 6 months. And he had a voice in the courtroom that was so powerful, he could lie under oath, lie in court proceedings that endanger me and my family. And this is not out of vindictiveness or anger. This is the truth. He endangered you. And he's still endangering you today past his death, but howbeit he's paying for it. But I have a voice, interestingly enough, to millions of people. God's given me life. Thank you very much. I'll bow to God for giving me life. Thank you very much, God. My Father in heaven, the only son of a widow that God's promised me help. And on the face of this planet, him personally, now other people speak for him, good luck with that. It's not going to work with me. I don't believe a word you're saying, and other people say the same thing. But he doesn't have a voice. He can't speak anymore. He can't go in court and lie against me and cause mass fatalities on Tennessee roadways. That's Tracy Trott. That's what he did. Unbridled news. It's the truth. It's not a sin to speak the truth against the enemy. It's not. Now, they want you to think that, so that they'll run over you and be able to hurt a lot of people. And we're going to talk about that. But interestingly enough, Tracy Trott does not have a voice anymore, his personal voice on the planet. He just doesn't have one. Isn't that amazing? He's answering to God for what he did on the face of this planet, which was horrifically wrong, very evil and wicked, what he did on the planet. Now, I can judge that because I see that. But God is the ultimate arbitrator, and he will judge that. He's standing before God. Now, not a dirty Tennessee judge that put the weight of law on his lies. And that's what they do. That's the truth. That's not being vindictive or wicked or mean. That's protecting you. And I don't buy their lies. I'm not burdened by their propaganda. It means nothing to me. You know what means something to me? It's just right here. It's the holy word of God is what means something to me. This right here. And I read this, and the way I read it, it doesn't teach me to be a pacifist. It doesn't teach me at all. In fact, it says the exact opposite. If you're a pacifist, you're not protecting your family, yourself, your life, then you're not doing right, and you'll answer to God for that. You may answer, if you're a pacifist, you may answer to God sooner than you think, because if you let them run over you, they'll kill you, and you'll answer to God, why didn't you defend your stupid self? I mean, really? Come on. God gives people common sense. Read the Bible, and things that seem astonishing, if you look into them, it might not be astonishing as you think, and it might not mean exactly what you think. Context and circumstances. And we're going to talk about their arguments. But thank the good Lord in heaven, today I'm alive and I can speak out against Tracy Trott. God hadn't stopped me from doing that. I think he wants me to do that. If you don't agree with me, I don't care. I don't listen to your propaganda. I'm not going to. I didn't then. And over about 15 years later, I don't now. I don't buy it. In America, we have this thing, it's called freedom of speech, where we can dissent against popular belief. We can dissent against judges. Now, we can't go in and kill judges, and we should not. Absolutely no violence, and I didn't believe in doing any violence against Mr. Tracy Trott for his horrific crimes against humanity, and the government's praising him. Wow, well, I don't agree with that. And they would like to kill me for disagreeing, and I'm disagreeing for the populist state, for your state. An evil man died yesterday, Colonel Tracy Trott over the Tennessee Highway Patrol. A very evil man died. I can say that. He can't say that about me anymore. Isn't that amazing how that works out? Yeah, I say I'm still here, still perpetrating the good of humanity, and he's not. And that's what I got to say about him. Now look what he did to me. What he did to me and what he did to you. What he did was one of the most horrific things. I was out on the road, and I got a right to say this. If you don't like it, then hit that change the channel button, and you might want to listen, because you can record this and play it back later and try to use it against me. And I don't care. Take a number. Like I said, it's real long. And if you care and like what I say, unbridled truth, then hit the like and share button and comment and can continue watching the channel, because this is some stuff I'm going to say that's going to blow your mind. And you say, how can he say that? God's going to strike him with lightning. No, he's not. God's on my side. I won't fear what man can do to me. I study that good book. I think about it a lot. And I go forward in what it says. And I'm 61, still alive. So amazing that it works for me. It teaches in that good book, all who will live righteously in this present world will suffer persecution. I've been persecuted a hell of a lot. Must mean I'm doing a hell of a lot right. And I'll keep on doing it. There's a lot of detractors. A lot of well-meaning people tell me, oh, don't say that. You shouldn't say that. That's not right. That's not Christian. And I don't care what you say. You can think that. Go ahead. I believe in your right to think whatever the hell you want to think. You can think the earth is flat if you want to. Go right ahead. You can think that I should do this and should do that. But you don't walk in these shoes, and if you go against what I say, then I appreciate your right to say that. But don't tell me how to think. God does. And when you tell somebody else how to live and how to think, are you going to walk in their shoes when the tragedy happens because of the advice that you gave them? So you go right ahead and give out your baloney. I'm giving out stuff that is true, that's unbridled, that's necessary for the public good. That is my calling in life, to give the dark side, to tell people what they need to know in order to live safely in this present world, to perpetrate freedom of speech so that we can spread the gospel. Now, it's not pretty. Doing right sometimes ain't pretty. And if that ain't your calling, that's not your talent, then don't do it. But don't tell me to hide my talent under a bushel tree. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to dig a hole and hide my talent. I'm going to let it shine. And here's the shining part, is that I'm alive and Tracy Trott is not. I'm speaking against him for the public good, and he can't speak against me anymore. I think that's wonderful, because he lied on me. He lied to the public. He caused mass death across the whole United States of America, but the government's praising him. But I'm not, and I can say that in America. Now, I didn't hurt him. I would have never hurt him, but God took him. So I'm just saying, a lot of times people get so angry about people. And I'm not saying to do this. And I had no ill will. I hope that he became a Christian. I don't know. I know he never corrected what he did wrong. And I didn't need for him to correct what he did wrong. God's on my side. I don't fear what he did. It would have been better for him if he had corrected what he did to Tennesseans and all across this nation. It would have been better for him, not better for me. I don't need his help. See, you don't need help from evil, wicked people. You don't need them to change their mind. You don't need to convince them to do right. You don't really even need a judge to convince them to do what's right. Now, you should try to go through the court system, legal process, but if you lose, you don't need that. You got God on your side. There's evil, wicked judges all across this state, all across the United States of America. Horrific, the most evil people in Tennessee and in the United States of America is the judiciary. I said it. That's what I believe. I'm allowed to say that. So let's talk about what Tracy Trotz, that the government's honoring did to me, and that I'm telling you I don't agree with that. And they'd like to kill me for disagreeing with me. I never killed him, but he would have liked to kill me. He tried to kill me. So who's right and who's wrong? Now, you can believe the propaganda and say, oh, you're evil talking about a dead man. No, I'm not. No, that's not true. I didn't kill him, and I would have never killed him. He would have killed me. And is it wrong for me to point that out, the evil wickedness of somebody that the government's praising? If you think so, you think on. I don't agree, and I'm not going to agree, and I'm going to talk very badly and harshly about the former Lieutenant Colonel Tracy Trotz. I used to call him Trotz to the bathroom. And what he did was horrific, caused people to get killed. Under his dictatorship, under his crimes, people in Tennessee got killed by the masses because of his evil wickedness, taking the #1 trooper off the road that made more legitimate drunk driving arrests than anybody in the state. Now, that was demonically influenced. Now he's gone. It's a better world. I said it. That's the truth. I'm still here. Fortunately enough, if you try to kill me, I won't go 1 second sooner, 1 millisecond sooner than God allows. My life's in God's hands. I'm not afraid of you. He's allowed me to say this stuff in front of over 2 million people in the past few days. This is angelic. This is Christian. It is Christian in every sense of the word. It's called a fighting Christian, not a pacifist. If you want to be pacifist, go ahead. That's good, because I might need to fight you. And if you want to lay down and take it, that's fine, because I'll just walk over you. It'll be much easier. For the right good cause, we should defend the public, defend ourselves, and it's a commandment in the Bible. If you don't agree with me, I don't care. I've got an agenda, and I'm going forward in that agenda. Pray for me. Pray to God if you think I'm doing wrong. I think God's given me energy to fight. No one else does. It's called unbridled news. Unlike any other news channel in the world, unfearful, unafraid, except for afraid of God. I read the Bible. I follow those guidelines. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize and ask God to forgive me. The fact is, I am not wrong. I know. Don't gaslight me. It won't work. When you're there and see something, not on a video camera later, and you got boots on the ground, you've experienced for years and years, and you know what's going on, and you're fighting for good, and people do you evil as a result of you fighting for good, for the good of the public, you have every right in the world, in Christianity, in the Christian faith, to contest verbally what they're saying to protect the public, to prevent it from ever happening again. And I'm going to. And you might want to listen, record it, share it, and use it against me if you want to. I really don't care. I care what God thinks. And God has told me to say this. Put me in the world for this point and this purpose. It's very entertaining and, very effective, although they don't want you to think that, because I'm saying some alarming things. I'm talking about somebody that was deceased the other day that the government praises. I'm talking about it in a derogatory, truthful manner, and that's just a wonderful thing. If you ask me, everybody else is afraid to, and I don't blame them, but God's put me in this position to fight for you. You ought to thank me and pat me on the back. If you don't, God's got wonderful gifts for me in heaven, I believe. Because I didn't kill Tracy Trotz. I didn't want his death. I wanted him to straighten up and fly right, but he didn't want to do that. So that's on him. He's answering for the real judge. I'll answer to the real judge. And I think what I'm doing is what God wants me to do according to the scriptures in the Bible. If you don't, you read the Bible and you live however you want to. You let him hit you on one side of the cheek, hit you on the other. You let him beat the hell out of you. I'm not going to do that. It's not going to happen. And that's good. It'll be easy if you're against me. It'll make it easy for me. So let's look at what Tracy Trotz did. Now he's deceased and they're talking about him in a good light. They even make a proclamation for him in his favor after he retired from the Tennessee Highway Patrol as commander, acting like he was a good person, using the government to say the government is good, using government to say the government is good. I mean, wow, how horrific is that? If the government puts out a proclamation that somebody's good, then maybe you ought to take a real deep look at them. Why are they having to proclamate it? It would be pretty obvious if they were, and it wasn't obvious that he was. And I'm telling you, I worked under him. He was a very evil man that lied on me. And here's what he did: try to have me killed. And this is a point I want to make. If you hate somebody so bad, this is just from a secular point of view. If you hate somebody so bad, they've done you so wrong, you want to kill them, you want to sniper them, you want to stab them to death and cut them. It happens all the time. Evil, wicked violence across the face of the planet. Let me give you a little hint. Just as a Christian and just basic science, if you go kill them, you're going to do the time. You're going to go to jail and you might get the death penalty. Just stay alive and wait them out. Everybody's going to die. And when they die, you can say, hey, I'm still alive and they're dead. That's what I wanted, but I'm not having to do the time. So just from a secular point of view, don't commit any violence. It's not even smart intelligently to do that. Christianity aside. Now, I believe if you murder somebody, you'll burn in hell. Don't worry about what man does to you. Murder is wrong. It's one of the 10 commandments. You shouldn't do that. But even if you don't believe in God, just from a secular point of view, you kill them, you're gonna face justice on this earth probably, and going to jail for somebody's death when all you got to do is keep living, take care of yourself, and they'll die before you, and you don't have to do the time. So I'm just saying, now, Colonel Tracy Trott, this is what he done to me. This is a picture of me on the front page of the paper back in 2012. It's called a dox. He's doxing me. Now, the colonel did this to me. And I'll tell you what he said to me. And it didn't just do this to me. It did this to my family. And the fact that he's dead doesn't change this. And I don't need him. I didn't need him to correct this. God's got me. But I'm just saying, for the point of protecting the public, just because people in government power praise people, and just because they're dead, we don't have to go along with the program and sing their high praises. That's not productive for the benefit of society, because that puts people in power. They know if you get in power, they can do whatever they want and they'll still be praised. They ought to be praised by their character, not the content of their position in government power, which is a really horrific wrong that the government does. They praise people that get high positions in government power, and not every one of them are good. Some of them have gotten positions of public power because they're demonic. They've sold their soul to the devil in order to get that power, because he has power on earth and he literally does have the ability to give it to them. Now, I'm not saying that Tracy Trott was like that. I don't know. I'm just saying what Tracy Trott did to me and Tennesseans and all across the United States was very evil. Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil, according to and the Lord, Alexander the coppersmith did me much evil. The Lord rewarded him according to his worth. Of whom be thou aware also, for he hath greatly restored our words, and the Lord shall deliver me from every evil work and will preserve me into the heavenly kingdom, to whom be glory forever and ever. Amen. So Alexander the coppersmith inhibited good work. And Timothy, 2 Timothy 4:14 said that. Tracy Trott hindered good work, my life-saving efforts on the road in the state of Tennessee. Died yesterday. I can still speak. He can't. I'm going to take my opportunity to speak and throw the punches. And God's given me the gift and the audience to do that. So if you want to hear a little more, hang on. We got a lot more to cover. We're going to talk about Christian pacifism. Let me see how many people I got on here. Thank you all so very much for your time. It is, I appreciate it so much. Like, share, and comment, and help the algorithm. If we get taken off this channel, send me your email address to charlesvanmorgan@gmail.com. And I'll be able to keep track and send you whatever social media platform that I'm on, that in order for me to spread the message. Let's see how many people we got in here. Thank y'all for showing up. And we're going to talk about Christian pacifism, why you shouldn't be, why we need to fight back, that is Christian. So we got a few people on here. Not that many. Like, share, comment, and so Christian pacifism. So let's look at this. Tracy Trott, what he did is he The crash that killed Gordon and Nito happened on November 20th. The date was, okay, the date was incorrect in the early version. So they're correct. February 1st, 2012. They put out a false narrative about me. It is determination. Here's what Colonel Tracy Trott, the liar, said. It is determination that Trooper Morgan did indeed see the crash scene and chose to ignore it. Colonel Tracy Trott wrote. That's what the lying colonel over the Tennessee Highway Patrol wrote about me, with my picture on the paper, on the front page of the paper of the Knoxville News Sentinel, spread all across the state of Tennessee, doxing me, telling people that I literally advanced the death of a Tennessee citizen in my official capacity, showing people who I was, opening up the opportunity for evil, wicked people to kill me. So he didn't do it literally himself, try to kill me, but he was making it vitally apparent through him, Major Stacy Heatherly, now promoted for line, and Line Lowell Russell, that you can kill Charles Van Morgan. Here's his picture. He did evil. Go get him. And that's exactly what they're doing, doxing me and putting me in the news for what I was doing right, out of a vendetta for me filing legitimate complaints against him. Now that's what they did. So that is evil and wicked. So like, share, comment. We don't have a lot of people in here, so hit the like button, hit the share button. Let's get some viewers. We're gonna talk about Colonel Tracy Trott. I used to call him Colonel Tracy Trott to the bathroom. The fact that he's dead doesn't undermine the corruption that he did, and it doesn't stop me from having the right to criticize him. The fact that I'm alive and he's not, and I can and he can't, that's a wonderful thing if you ask me. That I'm alive and he cannot do any more harm to society. And yes, I said it and I'm proud of it. It's not proud of evil, it's proud of not being gaslighted and not being humiliated and taking it, because I'm not going to take it. Not now. I didn't take it then, and I'm not taking it now, and I won't take it tomorrow. And he cannot do anything about it anymore. Isn't that a wonderful thing? I think it's very wonderful. Now, the public can praise him. I'm not going to. I'm going to tell you what evil he did. I can't think of anything that he did right. So that's what he said in the paper. The video and the troopers' contrary statements led the THP commander to leave Nashville and purposely visit the crime scene. Yeah. Baloney. What a liar. A gone liar. A now deceased liar. And I can say bad things about him honestly before God without being vindictive or hateful, in order to let people in government power know that there's people like me out here, maybe just a few. I don't know if there's one exactly like me, but there is another side that you can say whatever lie you want to in the papers and praise somebody just because they're dead, and I can tell you the truth. Look what happened in their life. What they're saying is absolutely not true. They caused a lot of death. There's a lot of dead people because of Colonel Tracy Trott. That's the absolute truth. He lied, and that's something that other people know. Other people in law enforcement know that, but they're not allowed to say that because of government persecution, because of persecutions against Christians. And I'm going to say that. And if you don't like it, here is a statement from another person in the Tennessee Highway Patrol that is very high up in the agency that can't say anything about it, but I'm not the only one who holds this view. In his death announcement, it says that he was a family man and praises, gives him accolades, and the government's praised him, and now he's gone. He can't criticize me anymore. He can't do that. I can criticize him, but you say I shouldn't. I think I should, and I think I'm going to, and I think I don't care what you think if you don't think I'm going to. Turn the channel or record it and send it to some of those people and say, look what he said. He's such an evil person. I'm not an evil person. I'm a truthful person. This is unbridled news, stuff you want to hear anywhere else. Do people ever criticize people that are deceased? They don't do that. They don't have the guts to do that. They're afraid to do that. Well, God's given me a little talent. It's called the talent of telling the truth. Unbridled news, been through the fire. I know how wicked these people what wicked they done in their lifetime, and I'm well prepared to expose them. I don't care what the status quo thinks. I really don't. In fact, I want to dispel what they think and bring the other side of the argument, because that's what they want to shut up. They don't want the other side of the argument that very well may be true and be beneficial to you. How about that? You ever thought of that? I did, and I am. And that's why I'm doing it, because it's good for you, bad for him. He shouldn't have done what he did, and wouldn't be bad for him to cover up his wrong on the face of the planet. Is so cowardice. Just because he's deceased now, well, he can't do that harm anymore. And I'm not deceased, and I can help, and that's what we're getting into. We're going to show you some help. He definitely wasn't a family man, and everyone knows that. Heatherly most of all. Now, this is somebody in Highway Patrol, high up in the confluting in the agency, that's telling me this. Now, you can believe him or not. I'm not going to hang him out who said it. But he definitely wasn't a family man. They claim he was a family man. I'm not saying he wasn't a family man. Somebody else high up in the Highway Patrol is saying he's not a family. He wasn't a family man. So they're refuting that themselves. But it's interesting they can't say that. Why can't they say that? Because the government will sanction you, will punish you for truth telling, for what I'm doing. And, have at it. God protect me, I pray. I'll fight you too. I'm not a pacifist. I'll do everything within my legal rights to defend myself. And the government will mistreat you violently. They will violently mistreat you. And maybe it's not your calling to do that. It is mine. Like and share. Allow me to do it. Let this message get out. I'm talking about a now deceased person. Have you ever heard that? Everybody always praises them. Even Mr. Trump won't criticize the dead after they're dead. I mean, some of his worst enemies after they died, he said good stuff about them. So maybe I'm a little more potent and God-fearing than even Mr. Donald Trump. He's not a saint. I'm not saying I am, but maybe I'm a little braver than Mr. Trump. I don't know. I care about people. I care about people's lives, and I'm just telling you the truth. And I'm not doing it out of spite or wickedness. I'm doing it out of protection for the public, to serve people as a warning. Just because you're dead doesn't wipe away the evil that you did, or people's right to point it out to prevent it from happening again. If you do evil while you're in government power and cause mass casualties all over the state, look at the numbers. The fatality rate has risen since he did his evil, since Major Stakes of the Heatherly's been in office, since Lionel Russell has been in office and a wicked person. Then just because you die doesn't change the fact that you did wrong, and we need to be able to put out the truth against you, that your death doesn't make you a hero, doesn't make your evil go away, doesn't make the dead people that you cause undead. And we need to set people a warning, and this warning starts today. If you die, we're going to still tell the damn truth about you. If you don't want us to, correct your wrong, because I don't need you to correct the wrong. God will protect me, or we will dismantle you with truth. I'm not a pacifist, never was, never have been. God didn't make me that way. Set me on fire, put me on the planet to protect the public. That's what I'm doing. I'm not protecting the establishment. That's what he did, and that's what the establishment is doing in his death. He was not a good man. He was a very evil, wicked man, and he's now deceased, and I'm saying it. That's not popular. I don't care. It's called the truth. It's good for the public, not good for him, and I pray for his family. He definitely wasn't a family. This is somebody else saying this, and everyone knows that, Heather, most of all. I remember it very well. Trot thought he was really doing something big when he drove the pursuit route. Yeah, he drove the pursuit route with several people, unlike me, in an unmarked car that was not equipped with a computer. Heavily pushed the issue with him as well. At no time did I or anyone else think you did anything on purpose. Now, this is what somebody else high up in the Highway Patrol is saying. They can't say that publicly, because if they did point out the truth, then they would get dismantled and treated the same way as me. It's the public. It's people in public power that are evil, and then once they die, everybody says good stuff about them, and then they keep. It's a perpetrating evil that goes on, and nobody stands up against it. Just because somebody's dead doesn't automatically make them a wonderful person. If they weren't wonderful in their administration of injustice while they're in power, they're not wonderful just because they die and they're not hands off. In fact, legally, and I said this before he was deceased, you can't defame a deceased person. So because they have no reputation to facilitate. So I'm just saying, even legally. So here's what Colonel Trott did. to you, not just to me. He perpetrated an evil. He doxed me, put out incriminating statements. People chased my little children around because of that evil man. I would not have dared done that. They let people know what district I was in, pretty much where I was at, and the area I was in, put my picture on the front page of the paper numerous times, and said horrific stuff about me, and in inflammatory, wicked stuff. Put my picture, a picture that they made me make, put that all on the paper. That's what Tracy Trotz did. That's what Major Headley did. If you're working for the Highway Patrol troopers, you're out on the road risking your life, your major will do that to you. Try to get you killed if you cross her. Doesn't matter if you're doing what's right. Doesn't matter if you justifiably cross her. She will try to have you killed. That's how evil and wicked she is. And after she dies, I'll say the same thing. They got another proclamation, just like they did Tracy Trott, about her. So I'm just saying, when they proclamate something and they put somebody down, it might be the exact opposite. And I'm not saying any violence. I'm saying speaking the truth, which is what I'm doing. So that's what somebody in the Highway Patrol thinks about that evil, wicked man. He doxed me, put out evil, wicked stuff in the papers. You can find a lot. There's people on here that continue to perpetrate those lies. I could care less what you think. You're evil, demonic, wicked, stupid people, and you don't intimidate me to the nth degree. People, when I was out on the road, taking them to safety for themselves and the public, they didn't intimidate me. I did that more than any trooper in the state. You think you're going to intimidate me? Good luck with that. I'm just saying, because I will demolish, I will humiliate, I will annihilate, not, so to speak, in language, not in reality. I won't shoot or kill or anything like that, but you're on dangerous ground, not for your life, when you do something against me. I'm not a toy. That has been very obvious. I mean, look at the environment of things that have happened when I'm around. They ain't good for people that go against me. Now, you can't see it directly, and I don't shoot and kill anybody. Never would. I speak the truth, unbridled. But a lot of people that have done me evil, a lot of bad things happen to them. I pray about stuff, ask God to help me, protect me from their evil, and He does. I'm just saying, and if you want to do that, go right ahead. You don't have any fear. Just because you don't have any fear of doing wrong doesn't mean it's not going to catch up to you. I do have fear of doing wrong. I never laid a hand on Tracy Trott. He laid a hand on me, not physically, but he laid a very violent, dangerous hand on me, practically very violent, dangerous, put a hit out on me, just like a major that's in office now. I'm not putting out a hit on her. I don't want anybody to commit any violence against Major Stacey Heatherly or Lionel Russell. Please don't do that. That is wrong. Absolutely don't do that. To speak the truth about them, to try to get them removed from their positions, to put a spotlight on how wicked and evil these people are, is exactly what you need to do. There's nothing wrong with that. And that is showing love and care and concern for them, because it's better for them where they removed from their positions. So Colonel Tracy Trott, here's what he said in his deposition. Now, he can't speak against me today, but he did when he was on the planet, and I'm going to point it out. It hasn't gone away, and I don't need his help. I don't need him to correct it. I don't need the Highway Patrol to correct it. It would be better if they did, because they would be more of a legitimate agency, because everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. But when you make a mistake, you stop if you realize you're doing it, and if it's already completed, then you correct it. You apologize for it, and you take measures to eliminate the damage or any further damage. You compensate the victim. That's just legal. When you go on in your wrong and you expect the victim to be a pacifist because they're a Christian, you're not going to get that here. You're not going to get that here. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And God's on my side. So here's what he said, Colonel Tracy Trott's deposition. And so we're here on the case of former Trooper Charles Van Morgan. Did you recommend discipline in this case? This is Colonel Tracy Trott. I did. And what was that discipline? Termination. So he recommended termination. He's now deceased. He can't terminate anybody, fortunately. And I got all fives on my evaluation after the wreck. After Major Heatherly took over, had all fives on my evaluation. It means I was the perfect trooper as far as you could be. And he's recommended termination, leading the state, releasing hundreds of drunk drivers, gaslighting me. He can't rebut this now, unfortunately, or maybe it is fortunately. He can't rebut this. I can say this. I'm still alive. And he's facing judgment for this. And it was a determination investigation that Trooper Morgan saw the crash, now deceased Colonel Tracy Trott, and chose to ignore it, passing the scene, leaving the victim in the car that was smoking, ultimately caught on fire without knowing whether he was dead or alive. Now, that's a lie. And he's saying that under oath. That's a lie. And it wasn't even the determination of his investigation unit. The determination of his investigation unit was that I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, they put me to work immediately after the investigation. After I was interrogated for 2 hours, they had my uniform and everything taken away. And then after I was interrogated for 2 hours, their investigation put me back to work that very same day, given my badge, all my ID cards, my patrol car back the very same day they investigated. So that's a lie in itself, can be proven. It wasn't until Major Stacy Heatherly, Line Stacy Heatherly, and Colonel Tracy Trott and Line Lowell Russell got together after the fact and conducted a scene. They did me much evil, and in doing that, they did you much evil. He's deceased now, can't do me any evil anymore. There's several other ones that ought to be walking on shaky ground. I pray about this stuff every day. I didn't hurt Tracy Trott. I'm not hurting them. I spoke against Tracy Trott. I'm speaking against them. Isn't it a wonderful thing to be a Christian, not to be afraid of people in government power? I think that it is. I think they're afraid of me because they're afraid. Over 2 million people have listened to this. I have down days and have up days. The message stays the same, goes on. It will go on. It's been going on for years and years now. Hasn't stopped. I've knocked on thousands and thousands of doors all across the state of Tennessee, spreading a message. The British are coming all across Tennessee. In effect, your government is dirty in the state of Tennessee. Have every right to do that. They've tried to make it illegal for me to do that. So that's what he said. That's a lie. That's a lie. Here's my statement that still stands. He can't say that today. I can. I can say this today. I can speak out against him, and I am enjoying it pretty much too. The truth is truth. And if y'all terminate me over this, I'll know that I was terminated wrongfully, that I should not have been. I was mistreated by the Tennessee Highway Patrol. I said that today. He can't speak out against me today. I didn't lay a hand on him. So here is my Colonel Trott's investigation unit, after interview, determined Mr. Morgan did not commit the acts Tracy Trott accuses him of. At least they determined they did not have preponderance of the evidence to show that his evidence returned him back to work the same day. Mr. Morgan returned to all his equipment taken away prior to the incident. His state patrol car, all his law enforcement IDs, weapons returned. Mr. Morgan was back to full commission duties December 14, 2011 to January 13, 2014, and put in the driver's license bureau on January 13th, 2013, when Sergeant Stacy 2012, when Sergeant Stacy Heatherly took over his shift. So I was cleared over that incident. So what he said, you can tell, is an exact dirty lie and not the truth. And so we're going to go into Christian pacifism and talk to you about what we're going to talk to you about Christian pacifism. And Morgan, karma is a bitch. That's right. You're a coward. Okay. And you're the one hiding out here without a picture. You're still alive. That's right. Tell them, Mr. Charlie. I'm telling them. So like, share, comment, and spread the message. Don't have many viewers, but we're going to talk to a few of the friends that we do have on here. Thank y'all very much for showing up. And we're going to talk about something that's very interesting that you probably need to know. You won't hear a lot of people speak about. They're afraid of the judgment of God if you talk about fighting or self-defense or anything about combating what they're doing evil, and they claim that that's not Christian. And here's one of the pictures where they put my name in the paper. This is Tracy Trott. He's now deceased. He's standing before God. Here's one of them. They put that in the paper. That affected my children. That's what the now deceased Tracy Trott did. Now he's deceased and I'm not. And I don't think that that's a bad thing that I'm not deceased. And now they're praising him, his distinguished career. And I just told you what another person in the Highway Patrol said about that. So people think that it's not Christian to fight back to say the things that I'm saying. And if you don't think that, you believe that in your heart, then don't do it. I don't believe that. Now I'm going to do it. But you're speaking against me for saying this stuff. So isn't that amazing? You don't think it's bad to speak against me, but for me to speak against people in government power that I can tell you specifically what they done wrong, that's wrong. I'm supposed to take that, but you're not. you're not supposed to take, you have the right to run me down. So, that's just kind of a circle that I'm going to break the hell out of it, because if you run me down, I'll run you down. If you come after me more forcefully than even Mr. Trump, I'll come after you, not with violence, with the truth. Now, he didn't run down people that were deceased. I will. Just because they're dead doesn't undo the harm that they did. So spread this message. You're going to hear some powerful stuff, some stuff that'll wake you up, cause you to defeat evil, to not to back down. Just because the Bible says stuff that you can take out of context, that they sell you a dirty lie to tell you to take their beatings, it doesn't mean you have to buy it. You have a mind, and you can think, and you can read, and pray and ask God about it. You don't have to take their violence. I'm not going to take it. I'm not taking it now. I didn't take it. I stood up against Mr. Tracy Trotz. The fact is, he can't speak against me today, and I can speak against him, and I'm going to, and proud of speaking the truth for people in government power. So here's what the Bible says. A lot of people point this verse out as grounds for being a pacifist, for not protecting society. Here's the verse. You've heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And this is Matthew 5. And this is what the pacifists say, that you should not fight back. It's Matthew 5:38. You've heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you that you resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at law and take away thy coat, let them have thy cloak also. And who shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twine. But the verse that is important to me, that Christian pacifists, and I'm not going to say they're Christian, they're pacifists, and a lot of the enemy is putting out this propaganda that we should be this way. You have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. But I say to you that resist not evil, whoso shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. Teaching that we should be pacifists in the face of violence directed toward us. But I want to tell you, and that's the words of Jesus Christ, that is situational, a situational circumstance that does not apply to every circumstances. What that is specifically talking about is that many scholars address the right cheek and right-handed of culture refers more to being backhanded, insult, verbal persecution more than violent physical assault. Christ's teaching as follows: to turn the other cheek was an admonishment to refrain from answering insult with insult, violence with impulse, revenge, and a willingness to de-escalate, seek peace when possible. So that was a cultural thing at that time, and talking about insult, and people were right-handed for the most part in that time, and that's how they insulted people. And it was a situational thing, not talking about somebody beating the hell out of you. But now he said, but because in the Luke 22:36 it talks. But now he said, take your money and a traveler's bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. So the Bible's advocating buying a weapon for turn the other cheek, no, for defending yourself. Now, against insults, you shouldn't violently attack. Let them insult you. Defend yourself publicly, which is what I'm doing. But I have never been involved in any kind of physical attack on anyone for ever insulting me. And I don't believe you should do that. You should defend yourself against physical attack. And they use the verse in the Bible where it talks about Paul, Matthew 26:51. But one of the men with Jesus pulled out a sword and struck the high priest's slave, slashing off his ear. Put away your sword, Jesus told him. This was the sword will die. Those who use the sword will die by the sword. And what that is talking about, and here's another, in the Garden of Gethsemane during Jesus' arrest, the Apostle Paul drew a sword and cut off the right ear of Malchus, Maichus, a servant of the high priest. The impulse act of violence aimed at defending Jesus was immediately rebuked by him, resulting in the miraculous healing of the servant's ear. So that incident occurred Matthew 26, Mark 14, Luke 22, and John 18. And Peter identifies the attacker in John 18:10. The servant is named Maichus. So that was in the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus was about to be arrested, to be persecuted. And Paul drew his sword and cut off one of the soldiers that was arresting Jesus, howbeit wrongly. And Jesus said, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So people say we shouldn't conduct any war, any violence, even in the face of Jesus' wrongful arrest and going to the cross. But if you put that into context, Jesus was foreordained from the foundation of the world to be wrongfully arrested, to be wrongfully persecuted, to be wrongfully beaten and crucified on the cross as payment for my sins and the sins of the world. So had Peter been successful in preventing that, he would have prevented Christians, us from being able to accept the Lord Jesus Christ from God's divine purpose. So what that particular context is talking about is do not use violence to perpetrate or God, what you think is God's will. That's not right. We don't use violence in Christianity to make people be Christians. God's will is divine and it will take place. We don't need to use violence. That was not a message to not use violence under any context. Had he continued to use violence, he was trying to prevent what was predestined. That doesn't mean that he shouldn't have used violence to protect his own life or it's not really violence, it's self-defense, to protect other people. Those that die by the sword, those that live by the sword, that die by the sword, was in that context of not preventing God's will to be done. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't defend yourself or your family. So Exodus 22, 2 and 3 provides a biblical basis for self-defense, stating that if a thief is killed while breaking in at night, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. So it provides biblically a approval of self-defense. If you're in defense, it's not bloodshed. So it's not condemned in the Bible. It was condemned in particular instances, one in the context of verbal threats, of verbal assaults in the context of the environment at the time, not violent assaults against you or your family or other people that you can protect, or an admonition not to be involved in war. And the other was a context that we don't use violence to do what we think is facilitating God's will, to perpetrate the gospel. We don't use violence to do that. Other religions do. Islam does, and I'll show you some verses where they do. Christianity does not. We don't cut off somebody's ear, use violence to protect the Christian faith, because in fact you're probably going against exactly what you should be doing. So in some extreme situations, refusing to protect the innocent blood is a moral and biblical failure. Sometimes the act of protection is an act of love. So what does by a sword mean? The passage in Luke's gospel where Jesus rebukes Peter is a situational. Jesus rebuked Peter, interfering with his willingness to go to the cross, as well as forbidding the kingdom being advanced by the sword. So we don't advance the Christian faith by the sword. That doesn't mean we don't use the sword, and I will and do, and your mouth can be a sword, to protect people on the planet. Other religions teach to kill all unbelievers in that particular faith. That is not Christian, never has been. We can protect ourselves, and we should, and if you don't, you're a damn fool and you're a coward. Now, like I said, I'm not a pastor. I'm not a preacher. I'm a person that's realistic and believes in fighting for the truth. What does by sword mean? Jesus does not endorse the use of planned and purposed violence to try to aid in the advancement of his kingdom by the sword. That's what. It doesn't mean that. So let's look at CBN Network, the Christian Broadcasting Network, some stuff it provides. Exodus 22:3 provides a biblical basis for self-defense, stating that if a thief is killed while breaking in, and I read that, by breaking into your house, establishing early concepts of the castle doctrine, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. So you're not guilty of any bloodshed in this life or the next one to come for defending yourself. You're not guilty of any kind of mistreatment for defending yourself against personal verbal assaults by speaking out against the attacker to try to stop continued verbal assaults against you. So 24 years after 9/11, a foreign-born Muslim was sworn in New York as mayor of New York City. Mayor Zohrani Mandati. I'm not even saying his name right, probably. That's not important. His religious faith is what is important, because it's false faith. Has a history of supporting extreme anti-Israel ideals. Now, this is as of opposition to Christians. Christians don't believe in using the sword to advance the Christian faith. You shouldn't. I don't. And his election may certainly inspire more far-left Muslims to enter politics. Madani made numerous comments during the campaign, which have now inspired the Anti-Defamation League to launch a new program called the Madani Monitor to track his administration. So there's good people tracking his administration. Mayor-elect Madani has promoted anti-Semitic narratives against the nation of Israel, associated with individuals who have a history of anti-Semitic and demonstrated intense animosity towards the Jewish state that is counter to the views of the overwhelming majority of Jewish New Yorkers. Some of them foolishly voted for him. We are deeply concerned that these individuals and principles will influence his administration at a time when we are taking a brazen surge of harassment. So he's anti-Semitic. Here is Sierra 9:5. Then kill the disbelievers, non-Muslims, wherever you find them. Capture them and besiege them and lie in wait for them in each and every ambush. Now that's what the mayor of New York is in his Bible that he believes, and he swore on that Bible when he took the oath of office. As you can see in this writing. So he swore in his oath of office on a book that perpetrates this right here, that perpetrates to kill Sierra 9:5, where our Bible says in Matthew 5 that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. That's talking about individual slander persecution. But there says, then kill the disbelievers, non-Muslims, wherever you find them, capture them and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in each and every ambush. Now, Madani swore into office feloniously, falsely, on a Bible that says that right there. And it's dangerous for Americans and people in New York. At least they have people monitoring. And the Quran is complete with directions of people to cause violence to people of the Christian faith and non-believers. The Christian Bible doesn't teach that. It doesn't teach Christian pacifism, but these people want us to be pacifists so they can kill us. And we have a right to defend our lives, not to attack them. We have a right to defend and we should, against attack. The Quran is replete with Sierras directing its followers to violence. Some examples, Sierra 3:151, we shall cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, all non-Muslims. They ain't cast no terror in my heart. They don't serve a living God. I do. Sierra 3:151, we'll cast terror to the hearts of those who disbelieve, all Muslims. They're trying to. They're not me. Sierra SURAH 2:191, and kill them, non-Muslims. I'm a non-Muslim. They want to kill me. Are you a non-Muslim? They want to kill you. He swore, took the oath of office for New York on these beliefs, and kill them, non-Muslims. Wherever you find them, kill them, such as the recompense of the disbelievers, non-Muslims. So that's what they believe. So they believe in violence, and they want us to believe that we're supposed to turn the other cheek while they're trying to kill us. But that's not the right context, and that's not appropriate, and that's not what the Bible teaches. In context, it teaches that we're not to advance our religious beliefs that are the truth, the belief in the Lord Jesus Christ. We're not to advance that through violence, as shown by Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, refuting someone's ear getting cut off to advance the safety and protection of Jesus. So we're not to use violence, but they are to use violence against Christians, non-believers. So, you go with letting them run over you. If you want to do that, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to my family. Islam is not a religion of peace at all. The perpetrators of terrorism, following the edicts clearly given, the Sierra verses that constitute the Quran, their holy book. It's not a peaceful religion. And they want to use excerpts from the Bible to cause us to be pacifists, their propaganda, so that they can kill us without any resistance. And that's exactly what they want. And that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's exactly what they are doing this very day. Surreptitiously now have a mayor that is perpetrating that belief. Now, I'm not saying he's killing people, but he's perpetrating that belief that you should, sworn on a Bible that believes that. It's not a holy book. It's a false book of death and destruction against Christianity. So let's look at some of the teachings from Bible Hub about preponderance and loving one's neighbor. During defending oneself or others can be considered an extension of loving one's neighbor. Protecting the vulnerable, intervening during unjust aggression may exhibit godly compassion, provided it is done without malice or personal vendetta. Speaks of rescuing those being led to death. So it is Christian and moral to protect the innocent and ourselves. It's not unchristian. The heart's attitude. Scripture consistently focuses on the heart. Defensive actions demand discernment. As we acting out of fear, are we acting out of fear, hatred, or presumption, or are we operating from the standpoint of love, responsibility, and careful stewardship of life? Christians are encouraged to submit every impulse to align with the Holy Spirit fruit and the commandments of Christ. So in that context of turn the other cheek, people left-handed, that was an automatic humanly instinct to fight back against an insult. And it was teaching to take those insults and not be violent about those insults. It wasn't an admonishment to not take any action to ever defend yourself against more than just similar to a smack on the cheek to a physical violent attack against you. And what you shouldn't, and you should defend yourself and others against physical violent attacks. Discerning threats wisely. Personal consideration for modern believers. Practically, wisdom plays a role in daily life. Whenever in one's home or in public, prudence and prayerful discernment guide believers to take sensible measures, avoiding reckless and refusing to initiate violence. Now, we shouldn't initiate violence. Avoiding unnecessary harm. Self-defense does not excuse cruelty or an excessive show of force. The goal is preservation, protection, not inflicting harm, even in military and law enforcement contexts. Biblical ethics encourage minimizing violence whenever possible. So the Christian belief is not one of not self-protection, not any kind of defense against yourself using force, using weapons. It is the concept of within discretion, within limits, not where you can. Human life is valuable. Don't kill the person that's trying to kill you if you can, to stop the threat. So it is not to defend yourself against the threat. And avoid trusting in God's sovereignty. Now, this is the important thing, is that we don't need them to stop their violence against us. We don't need them to correct their ways. That's on them. Now, you can tell them to, but our life doesn't depend on somebody else is doing right. It doesn't. Our life depends on God keeping us alive. Don't ever get the fear of man into you to where you think that you have to go along with the program, which is very prevalent. People think they got to go along with powerful government or they'll get dismantled. And I'm not saying don't be strategic, which you should be. I wouldn't fight against every injustice if it's not worth it. But my life doesn't depend on me cooperating with unlawful and unjust orders. I don't have to go along with it. I don't have to, they're not responsible or over my safety. God is. God can protect you against evil, wicked people in government power. So, trusting God's sovereignty. While Scripture supports lawful protection, ultimate security lies in God's hands. Psalms 18:2 says, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress, my deliverer, my God is my rock in whom I take refuge." Human action must accompany abiding trust in the Lord's protection and guidance. So don't fear the enemy. Take measures to defend yourself. But the enemy aren't ultimately your demise, are going to be. It might be at their hands, but God can keep anybody alive at any time He wants to. It doesn't matter 1,000 armies come against you, as in the book of Psalms. God is the ultimate one, God's sovereignty. So while people say bad stuff against me, they say bad stuff against you, they insult us, some people would love to kill us. Our ultimate safety doesn't depend on them not attacking us. It depends on God's safety protection of us. Doesn't matter who the enemy is, God can protect us from anybody. And these people are actually irrelevant. Trust in God. God's sovereign. God can protect us against the most unrighteous, evil people. But you still need to get up and fight for what is rightfully yours in every situation. From the Old Testament accounts to the teaching of Jesus and the apostolic letters, the Bible represents a balanced perspective on self-defense. It affirms the protection of life, property, condemns personal vengeance, and models measured responses to legitimate threats. Believers are called to trust God while acting responsible for the safety of themselves and others, and all while making a spirit of humility, love, and confidence that God is the ultimate guardian. In every situation, Scripture's guiding principle, love for neighbor, respect for life, and submission to God's word inform the decision one makes about self-defense. Such an approach, rooted in biblical wisdom, upholds both the sanctity of life and the command to reflect Christ's character in all things. So, the Bible teaches in defend the poor and fatherless, do justice to the afflicted and needy. So, the Bible teaches us to defend. That's a self-defense command, the poor and needy, and it's not a pacifist gospel. It's not. If you think that, you'll be easy for them to run over. And I'd be very cautious about, and I'm not teaching that philosophy. That's not what I believe. It's absolutely not what I believe. It's absolutely not what I think. And I'm not a perpetrator of those lies that are completely false and that are against the Christian belief. So let's go over and recap some of the main ideals that I pointed out that I want to stick with you. That Jesus does not endorse the use of planned and purposeful violence to try to aid in the advancement of His kingdom. That's a biblical principle, as in the Garden of Gethsemane. Now, the passage in Luke's gospel where Jesus rebuked Peter is a situational Jesus rebuked Peter's interfering with his willingness to go to the cross, as well as forbidding the kingdom being advanced by the sword. So Christians don't believe in advancing the cause of Christ through using violence. Other religions do. That's where they're false. But that does not mean that we don't use defense to protect us. In fact, that's a command to defend yourself. And also, in some extreme situations, refusing to protect the innocent is both a moral and biblical failure. Sometimes the act of protection is an act of love. So my defending myself against government defamation, even in the courts, is an act of love towards people in government. It's even good for them. They've created an environment that's dangerous for them. And it is not an act of bitterness, it's bitter cold. It is an act of care and concern for them to prevent them and encourage them to correct what they're doing so that they won't be punished in heaven. Because as Tracy Trott, it's too late for him. He's answering to the real judge, a judge that sees the evil and the good in every place. You're not getting nothing by God. A lot of the crime and violence on the face of the planet, criminologists, and I'm a criminologist, blame it on all kinds of things. One of the main reasons is people have no fear of God. We raise our children to not believe in an ultimate arbitrator after death, so they think when they die and kill a lot of people in these schools that that's just the end of it, and they send a message that goes on earth forever. The truth is, you go into school and murder all these people, you'll stand before God and you'll burn in hell, because there's no murder that's going to enter into heaven. So a good healthy fear of God, but a good healthy fear of God should perpetrate you, should cause you to defend using self-defense, using weapons to defend yourself against violent attacks, mainly for your family and for yourself. You should use weapons of war legally in the Constitution we can to defend yourself against violent attacks from the enemy. And you can read that, turn the other cheek. That's not meaning let them kill you and beat you to death. You should use self-defense to protect yourself against violent attacks that could kill you and the enemy at the immediate time. Now that doesn't mean to advance the cause of Christ. And that is a principle taught in the Bible. So I would encourage, he said, and remember Luke 22:36, but now he said, take your money and a traveler's bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. So that's in the Bible, buy protection for yourself. Now, I have protection for myself. I often carry a gun with me. I don't carry a gun if I'm going to usually go to a protest and I don't confront police. I don't carry a gun and I don't do anything illegal, but that man on the news the other day was carrying a gun in the street, jaywalking, committing a crime, advancing on police, criminally doing something wrong, at minimum jaywalking, and also interrupting a police ICE operation for them trying to protect the public, getting somebody dangerous off the road, somebody violent, intentionally caused violence. And he was carrying a gun, lawfully carrying a gun at other times, but he wasn't lawfully carrying a gun while he was conducting activities that he was conducting, which resulted in his death. But as a Christian, I lawfully carry a gun. In the state of Tennessee, you don't even need a permit. I have a permit. But you should not carry guns and try to carry them in a government facility we're not supposed to, or in any kind of advance, and I don't, on trying to intimidate or cause people to be bullied, to use it as a bully. It should be used for self-defense. Let me give you a hint. If you're displaying your gun in a public place on your side, or you're a big guy, and I've seen people do that, you're an idiot. That's not even tactically correct. If somebody wants to rob a store or something, you're in it, they know who to kill, the one that's got the gun. You're just making yourself a target. Keep a gun concealed. Don't show it. Don't bully people. You can show it if somebody's threatening your life or may cause you harm. It wouldn't be a bad idea not to brandish and point at them, but show them, hey, this is what you're going to have to get past to hurt me. And that may deter violence in that manner. But if you're running around brandishing a gun, that's pretty damn stupid. Somebody trying to hurt you, you could say, hey, look, I'm prepared to defend myself without pointing at them, or you might need to in some circumstances. And so I carry a gun wherever I go. I also am very apt at self-defense as far as verbally. I went to law school. I graduated from law school. I have a Master of Arts in Sociology. Law school, and people look at it differently, but law school is tactics and techniques, the way I looked at it, as legal, legitimate weapons. And a lot of people have law degrees that are politicians, because you learn legal, legitimate weapons that are very effective, verbal weapons, self-defense tactics and techniques to defend yourself against the onslaught of evil and wickedness directed at you or your campaign or whatever. So I have weapons I carry. I have marksmanship awards. I'm very effective at hitting center mass. And I also have an advanced degree in criminology. I know where the danger is at and how to avoid it, and that's the best thing to do. And I also have the doctorate degree. I passed the bar twice in how to defend myself from verbal and psychological tactics against the enemy. And people think they can beat me. Where'd you go to law school at? People think lawyers are stupid. They're some of the most smartest people in the law and in legal things. And in practicality, some of them are dumb as doorknobs, but a lot of them are very smart in the law and how to argue cases and get stuff through a court system. And I'm very knowledgeable in the art of defense, as far as knowing the law, knowing how to protect myself, knowing how to speak and present an issue and present the truth. And they're presenting a lie. The truth always has more weight and value. So even if you don't have a law degree, if you got the truth, you're carrying a lot of punch, you're carrying a lot of power. And when I went to law school, I looked at all these principles and legal concepts, and people look at it differently. This is the way I looked at it. This is my gift. This is my calling. Other people's gift is completely different. Maybe yours is. And don't tell me how to use my gift, and I won't tell you how to use yours. If yours is peace and negotiators, and we had people in the academy in the class in law school that were negotiators. That's what they said. I'm a negotiator. People know me as a negotiator. That's absolutely great. You have your position and you turn the other cheek. If you know how to negotiate and make that work for you to where it comes to peace, that's fine. That's not my place. That's not my calling. That's not who I am. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be out of place, and I'm not hiding my talent. God's given it to me, and you can call it evil all you want to. It's a talent of knowing how to use these tactics as weapons. So there's your warning. And you see what I'm doing to a now deceased man. I'm telling the truth about him. There's no fear here about moving forward. The only fear I have is making sure that I obey God. And it ain't fear of humanity. It ain't fear of any one of y'all. The worst happens, you blow me off the planet, you'll send me right to heaven, and I don't think that's going to happen. I have no premonition like Dr. Martin Luther King that I've seen the other side. I don't see it. I see a very long life for Charles Van Morgan, a long life of putting out the truth to a lot of people, a lot more than probably listen to me today. If I have 3 people, if nobody's listening to me today, I'll talk to God, and it's recorded, somebody can pick it up later. I'm going to use the talents, and I looked at law school, all these principles and concepts of law, gathering them together, and there's a lot of memorizing them, having in my heart and mind, and I know how to use them, and I damn sure will. Watch out. It's not violent tactics. It's mental thinking tactics and maneuvers to punish people who try to punish me, and I do it, and I'll do it every day until I die. And I've learned it's skill, and I looked at all these principles and concepts of law as tools or weapons to be used in appropriate situations to fire them off. They're like nuclear weapons. They'll blow the hell out of you. They're very important concepts passed down through law, generations, accumulated. The best concept you ever thought of and you ever heard of. You don't know what I'm talking about if you haven't went to law school. Lawyers are very dangerous people. in the context of argument and facilitating the truth about things. There's a lot of people that are just talented in that naturally. Mr. Donald Trump sounds like a lawyer and he's never been to law school in a lot of the ways he argues things. I have been to law school. I used every one of those tactics and techniques that I used in law school, packaged them for myself as being able to unleash later on attacks against me. So if you want to try me, have at it. I'm telling you what you're in for. I have these nuclear weapons, not literally, figuratively, that I will unleash full force. I just unleashed one this morning on a now deceased man. If you think I'm a toy, have at it. I'm not afraid of you. And I've also experienced life, and there's nothing that's put me down yet, and it's not going to. This stuff works. Right is on my side. God's given me tools and tactics, a lot of them all through law school. There's numerous ones that are very effective. I'll unleash every damn one of them. Watch out. That's your warning. It don't have to be that way. Be peaceful with me. Treat me with respect and dignity like I have earned that. And if you don't believe that, I don't care. That's a fact. And I'll treat you with dignity and respect. And you won't be an issue with me. If you don't do that, and I'll advise everyone that listens to me, everyone that subscribes to the channel, to listen to my tactics and techniques, I will help you. I won't give all of them out. You'd have to meet me personally and be a close friend before I tell you how to really facilitate an agenda. There's a lot more to it. If you're a friend of mine, you're not an issue. If you're a subscriber, you're not an issue. I'll give a little hints of some things and some agendas that we need to do. Number one is vote. Voters of truth and rage. People need to vote for people that are truthful and be enraged about it to get up off our seats and go to the polls and vote. And then we'll be voters of truth encouraged. And I'm already encouraged, and I will lead you in this. Trust me, I know exactly what I'm doing, know exactly where I'm going, and I know exactly the tactics to use. And I've got a lot of them from law school where I have learned these tactics to fight enemy people that stick their ugly head up, that think they can get an advantage over me. No, they can't. We have one person deceased that's an enemy that I didn't lay a hand on. He can't speak against me now. I have the ability and talent, and I'm speaking against him, and I am. So I will annihilate you, not physically. Now, I've already got in trouble. The Tennessee Supreme Court sanctioned me, said the Tennessee courts have sanctioned me, saying I have no right to defend myself. I have no right of I don't have the First Amendment right in the state of Tennessee. Well, I'm not listening to that. I'll speak out against you. I will annihilate, not physically. They know what I'm saying. They misinterpret it. They try to spin it because they're wicked people in government power. I'm not talking about bullet attack on people in government power. I'm not talking about shooting judges. I'm talking about telling the truth about them with language. And they say I don't have a right to do that. Yes, I do. I'm talking about annihilating them with the truth, because the truth annihilates them because of what they do, because I'm just putting a spotlight on what they do. It's not talking about being violent against them. Now, they interpret it as in, because they don't want the spotlight that I'm going to put on them. I'm going to keep putting on them. They don't want that spotlight to be put out. Well, guess what? Too damn bad. I'm not afraid of you, judiciary. I'm not speaking violence against you. You're speaking violence against me and trying to gaslight me and gaslight the public. Well, guess what? I don't buy it. I still have the same tactics and techniques that they have. I've been to law school just like any damn judge in the state of Tennessee. I'm a little bit smarter than them because I've been through the fire. I've been burned, and it didn't hurt, didn't get me. And you're not going to get me, and you ain't been burned yet. You don't know what it's like. And I'm going to show you my best advice to people that stick their ugly head up is to correct your ways, or you're going to meet God, or I will annihilate you. Not with violence, with telling what you're doing, and if you stop what you're doing, you won't be destroyed. Now, that's just the truth of the matter. This is your warning. It's on 110, 150%. We're going forward in this voters of truth and rage, and trying to vote people out of office in the state of Tennessee, and we're going to get it done. We're going to keep at it. So Christians' pacifism is wrong, and they'll use that to mistreat you. Don't do that. Christian self-defense is absolutely right. Now, if that's not your calling, follow along, subscribe with me. I'll do it for you. I don't believe in any violence. If you're a violent person, I don't want anything to do with you. If you believe in defending yourself through the use of weapons, then, hey, I'm with you. If you believe in defending yourself through the use of language and telling the truth about people who are violently attacking you, then hey, hold on, I've got this. I'm not afraid of this. It's not defamation. It's true. It's stuff I've learned. It's from God. It's what we ought to do. Protect Christianity. Protect people from themselves. If they don't want it, wave the white flag, change what you're doing. And even if they don't do that, what we're doing doesn't depend on them doing right. I'm telling you, they're not going to. It's not going to happen. That's how wicked they are. Some of them may, and good. They can be on our side then. They can tell the truth and advance the good of the mass populace in the state of Tennessee and the United States of America and worldwide in your country. Advance the truth. And that's good if they do. If they don't, then our movement doesn't depend on them doing right. We don't need them to do right. I don't need Tracy Trott to do right. He can't do right now. He's in heaven facing God. My life, my circumstance doesn't depend on anybody in government power. It depends on God Almighty. So don't put too much weight on these dirtbags, these crooks, these criminals, these people in government power that can put public opinion in their favor. Our future doesn't depend on them. It doesn't, absolutely doesn't. Don't pull the punch because you're afraid of their agenda and their power, because they don't have ultimate power. We do. We have power with God. So thank you all so very much for listening. We'll try to have another show tomorrow. Doesn't look like too many people listen to me today. It's recorded. You've heard what I said about Christian pacifism. It's wrong. I'm a fighter. If that's not your talent, fine, negotiate. Get on my team. I'll fight for you. We'll try to have another show tomorrow, and I'm not a preacher. I am a truth teller. Unbridled news. If there's any news happening, we'll try to show it live on the scene. We're trying to advance this movement, advance our YouTube presence, and get the word out. Over 2 million people in less than 5 months. So God's blessed this channel. He's continued to bless it. We have low days and high days. If you subscribe to the channel, hit like and share, it helps the algorithm. I think a lot of the algorithm and a lot of the stuff diminishes what we say. It's AI controlled because it doesn't like the truth getting out. AI is controlled by the media and the narrative of the government. And when you ask it a question, it spits out the government's narrative, which is completely false in most situations. And unless you've been there, boots on the ground, which I have, and unless you've got the tactics to fight them from a legal perspective, a legal education, all these tools that I've accumulated, that God's put me in a place where I don't have to obey their rogue rules in the courtroom because I'm not licensed, that other licensed attorneys have to back up the system or they pull their law license. I'm in a better place on the planet to fight for you in doing what I'm doing now, although we are pursuing legal litigation against the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. I've got to serve them. The court has denied service by the U.S. Marshals, but that doesn't matter. We'll get them served. And so I'll try to have another show tomorrow. Thank you all so very much for watching. And we're on the right side. We're on God's side. I will defend myself, whether you like it or whether you don't. And you know, if you don't like it, you better learn to lump it. Been there, done that, and got a cookie for it. This is on. There's no stopping it, and they know it. If you're on the other side, the best thing you can do, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I mean, if you go against me, I'll keep fighting you. If you put up your white flag, correct the wrong that you have done for you, not me. I don't need your correction. I don't need your help. Doesn't matter to me what you do. I fight. That's what I do. I fight evil. So I'm fighting you. When you're not evil, I won't fight you anymore. So the best thing you can do for yourself is try to put up the flag. Let me know. Correct the wrong that you have done. And then I'll go on to somebody else that wants to fight me and keep looking for the fight to do what's right, which is what I'll do. If you judge me, I'll judge you. God judges me, so I don't care about your judgment. So thank you all so very much for watching the show. God's on our side. We won't fear what man can do to us, and we'll fight like hell. So here's the in conclusion, here's the doxing that the highly praised and worshiped, distinguished career family man, yeah, right, said about me, doxed me and my family in the paper, and he's now deceased. And I'm not. I'm not. I'm still alive. See, ouch, and still alive to perpetrate the truth against him. He said something that was wrong against me. I'm speaking the truth against him. Isn't it a wonderful thing to be a Christian and be alive in 2026? And so thank you all so very much. Like, share. God bless you all. And I pray for your safety, health, protection, well-being. Pray for my safety, health, protection, well-being. I went all over the state asking churches all over the state to pray for me and returning the favor that I would pray for them. God has honored that prayer request. A lot of bad's happened to me. I'm still alive and still fighting and still going forward. God answers prayer. That's one of the best tactics that I know of ever on the face of the planet. Is not law school and all those physical talents and all those mental talents and mental weapons of civilized warfare, the legal stuff I learned. The most valuable talent, and I'll leave you with this and try to answer some questions. The most valuable talent that you have, even if you don't have a law degree, even if you don't have a Master of Arts in Sociology, even if you haven't been through the fire and been burned and got a little incentive to fight harder, and God's taught you, this needs to be fought. Look what they did to you and what they did to the public. Been beat up over it, got some fire in me. And you talk about some fire, I got some real fire. Hang on and you'll find out. This fire is not going to be put out. It'll look for the fight. Other people hang up the flag, correct their wrong, then they're off, and then we'll find another target that needs to be annihilated, not in actuality, practically, symbolically for the Tennessee crooked courts, because if I say symbolically I'll speak the truth against them, then, oh, that's wrong, you have no First Amendment right. I'll bet you didn't give me a First Amendment right. God gave me a First Amendment right. The Constitution didn't give me that right. It just recognizes the right I got. So if you choose not to recognize that right, God gave it to me. It didn't take it away, Tennessee courts. I'm still speaking out against you. The Tennessee courts are dirty as hell. Don't trust what they say. Don't be violent to them, but speak the truth about them. So we'll find a target, but the best weapon, and I'm getting to the point, keep you on here, get my view time up. The best weapon that you have against the enemy, and let me tell you this, use it every day, all the time, every chance you get. It's a valuable weapon that has kept me safe, and I assure you it works, is to become a Christian, trust in the Lord Jesus Christ, ask him to forgive you, come into your heart, try to be Christ-like, try to be like Jesus, and pray. Praying is your best defense against everybody. In your worst situations, pray, God help me. In Jesus' name I pray, and God will help you. That's the best weapon that you ever have. Always have that weapon. Every day, all day. Now, that doesn't mean that's the only weapon I have. It's not the only one, but I'm telling you, that's number one. That's number one weapon. Tennessee courts, I pray that God exposes you for your wickedness. Now, they'd like to say, I can't do that. I just did it. I'll do that all day, every day. And that is the most effective weapon. I went all over the state of Tennessee asking churches to pray for me, because I believe that works, and absolutely it does. So I would encourage all my followers, from the bottom and the depths of my heart, let me, not through my power, let me guarantee you, let me reassure you, no matter how big the enemy is, that God is in complete control of everything, and we can pray, and God helps us fight and protects us from evil. So the most effective weapon for self-defense is to pray about things. And then there's some other things. That's what this channel's about. I'll tell you. So continue to pray. Let's see if we got any questions. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your time. Let's see if we got any questions we can answer. Got a few. So we got knocked off there. So let's see if we got any questions. It says here, hello, thank you all. God love you all, and I do too. That's right. I typed that in there. Best thing at a bakery. Okay. I hit the like button by mistake. Well, okay. Take it off then. Political violence. I don't understand that. Okay. So we're still on here. Go get your money back. Not smart. Okay. I don't know what that means. Why should a God needs to be crucified in order to forgive people who commit sin? Because God explained love. How does God love people? I mean, I don't understand. Praise Jesus. That's right. I don't understand God's love. He loves evil people. He loves me. Charles, friend, would you hold the football down and tell him to kick it? And when he does, they move the ball. Yeah. Okay. So take the R out of his name. I don't, Charlie Brown, all grown up by life. Charlie Brown. I'm effing with him by calling him Charlie. Damn, bro. Tell him, Mr. Charlie. I told you he was the trooper pulling up with his gun unholstered before due process. What Charles looks like he only wipes his ass one time and gets up and leaves without washing his hands. Ooh, I'm so hurt. So yeah, if you got any questions, put them on here and I'll try to answer your questions. Let's see what we got here. If you're more educated than any other candidates, how are you so unemployable? Defamation, because defamation by people in government power. That's why. Hello, thank you all. God love you. And yeah, that's me. I put that on there. And so yeah, come on. We're still on here. Come on board. We haven't left yet. I lost my battery, and Charles violated my rights in 2007. Did I? Okay, if that's what you think. He's the guy that pulled up with his gun and holster before questioning. Pulled up. I don't know who this is. I guarantee it. I believe it. Brother, don't talk about the Bible. Why not? You are going to hell, my friend. Well, I'm glad you know whether somebody else is going to hell or not. I don't even know if Tracy Trott went to hell or not. You got to lay your life down. No, you don't. You're hellbound. You don't know that. Yeah, gaslighting. You need to search Jim Elliott. Okay. Oh, look at that. You take a page out of Nate Saint. I still don't agree with you, but I genuinely feel bad for you. Should take a day or two off internet, have a real conversation with people you care about. Okay. He cussed while holding the Bible. Unclean speech. Tell him, Mr. Charlie. I will tell him. I did tell him. Charles looks like he. Yeah, okay. I told you he was the trooper pulling up with his gun and holster for due process. Tell him, Mr. Charlie. Uh, okay, somebody crying. Damn, bro. Uh, Charlie Brown. Y'all have a great day. I have had enough dose of stress for a day. Go Seahawks. Okay, that's right. Go Seahawks. Okay. Charlie Brown grown up hit by life. Yeah. Take the R out of his name. Carless. Okay. Definitely says good grief. Okay. So any new questions? And when you are born? I was born in 1964. When did you become anti 2A? I'm not anti 2A. That's not right. You just because you say something doesn't make it right. I think people ought to carry a weapon if they want to. That's not true. That's not what I believe. I believe that if you want to carry a gun, you ought to carry a gun unless you committed a felony or something. I think a lot of felonies ought to be taken off people's records because they didn't commit a violent crime. They need to be given a break. So, will you play GTA 6? I don't even know what that is. So, got a few people in here. Thank y'all for joining me. Remember, God loves you and I do too. We'll try to be back on here tomorrow. I don't see any good questions. Anybody got any good questions? I'm live right now watching I usually don't, but I'm watching the question thing. So if you have any good questions, watch your video and watch your video from yesterday. Give it up. Truth Nation Uncovered. Get some fresh air, homie. Okay. You're a disgrace, Charles. Okay. Ooh. And you're funny. Go play in traffic. Truth Nation Uncensored. You'd like that, wouldn't you? Actually hurt one of my wheels walking in the dark, so you got a little bit of your wish, but I'm back feeling better now, so I'm good. So like, share, comment, subscribe. Help me share the message. We'll be back on here maybe tomorrow with another Important show from Charles Van Morgan. Don't play in traffic, but try reading a book, please. I've read a lot of them. I have a Doctor of Jurisprudence, Master of Arts, a business degree, associate degree. I read almost every day. Take care, BB. Mike Hawk. Okay, I will. Can you say 67? I don't know what that means. So maybe you need to read a book and put down your gaslight and then start trying to tell the truth about stuff. We'll keep fighting evil. So thank y'all for showing up. Hopefully got a few views today. I think YouTube is shadow banning us. So if you need a taxi ride, I work here in Knoxville. Business is down. Please pray for the safety of the Border Patrol agents in Crooked, Minnesota. That's right. Amen. That's right. I agree with you. CR33TE11. See, there's people that got sense. We need to pray for the Border Patrol in Crooked, Minnesota. They're doing God's work, protecting the sovereignty of America. Say 6767. My guy is innocent. I pray that Trump saves you, man. I like Mr. Trump. He's not God. He's not as brave as Charles Van Morgan. I'll tell you that. And he's just a man. So any other good questions, and then we'll sign the heck off here. Best driver in Knox. Thank you, Mike Hawk. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You must know me. And so thank y'all very much for showing up. Still got about 12 people in here, 23 likes. And any other questions, any other thoughts before we end this live stream? And we'll try to be back on here tomorrow. Pray for me, Putin. Miss or Rando, who is the GOAT. I don't know what that means. So this is one of the very few times we're listening to comments. Please pray for Mr. Putin. I pray that he gets his heart right with God and that he gets his due just reward for his evil. If you're talking about Vladimir Putin, what an evil man he is. What a disgusting, evil, wicked, demonic influenced person he is. And he's done a lot of evil, done a lot of wicked stuff. I pray that he faces justice. Okay. So anybody got any final questions? And we'll get the heck off here. Thank y'all very much for showing up.